Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Hot Pot. Cycle 242. And like I typically start off with, just talk about the number of dupes. I'm at 8. Food is holding steady. Oxygen looks really bad, but that's just because I am using a lot more oxygen to store in these suit docks. I'm actually operating at a little bit of a surplus right now on oxygen, or at least I have for the last little while. So I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem, but I'm going to have to just keep an eye on it to make sure I don't wind up starving myself out. And honestly, if I do start to get to those kinds of worrying places, I think I'm probably just going to kill one of my dupes, which it doesn't sound very humane, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So if it comes to that, I think that's going to be my plan. Yeah, so we'll talk about some other things that have changed here so far. You might notice I do have some of my shipping network up and running, so there is stuff being shipped. This is mainly going to be to start setting up my barbecue and start getting off of this meal wood. That'll also mean I won't have to cool my base as aggressively, which isn't a big concern now, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But this is my typical drowning tank. Nothing too special here, really just trying to make sure I have something that fills up every day. I have a separate room here for where all the eggs get shipped to, and then my dupes will decide where to take the critters to. Any time that I need to bring them back into any of the rooms because the critters in there die, they will prioritize these rooms. Otherwise, they'll take them down to the chamber and they'll drown. So that just barely got up and running, so it's going to take a little while for my barbecue to fully kick in. And I don't think I have enough critters to actually manage food for all 8 dupes, but it will at least reduce the maintenance in this area and reduce the reliance on dirt. So that's the plan with that. The shipping network also is meant to eventually hide supplies here for my dupes that I don't want. So I've been doing this manually with these boxes so far. And I don't want to have to do that forever. So I'm actually going to keep these as sweep only for the resources that I don't want. And I've just pared it down to dirt and sand. Those are the only things that are really harmful if the dupes bring back in the base, because they'll kind of just sit there and put their temperature into something I don't want them to. Anything else like a building material, if they want to build out of that, that's fine, because every time you build, it's always going to be at a max temperature of this 113 Fahrenheit. So that is at least one kind of silly way to delete heat if you're ever wanting to do something like that, but that's why I'm not too concerned about bringing those resources in. But yeah, so I'm going to have those set up here. I've got a second set up as well. And yes, this all looks very different, and that's because I'm now building over here, and I'm now digging over here like crazy, as you can see. And that's really just to get as much copper out of this as possible. So what was here before was a big copper vein, and there was another one down here. Must have already dug it out. But yeah, it was a huge copper vein here, and more importantly, there's iron right here. And this is going to allow us to make steel, which I think I'm going to start using on some of the more advanced setups that I'm going to need. Like, for example, I could capture a volcano, or I could capture this, which is a steam vent. I know I haven't revealed it yet, but it definitely is a steam vent. Now I feel like you don't believe me. Ah, it's a steam vent, see? Okay. So yeah, that's going to be my plan with steel, is probably just going to start setting up some of those advanced things. And I could potentially do it without steel. I'll probably have to... The steam one especially, I don't think I actually need steel, now that I'm thinking about it. Steel I'm going to need for some other things, though, like if I need to run a volcano setup or something like that. I should probably make the stuff inside there out of steel. Like if you want to ship out any of the materials, like if it's a gold volcano or something like that. But yeah, so that's the plan with that. You can also see I have reached the space ruins. So I am actually at the space biome now. I will eventually start dumping the salt water that's too hot that I don't want anymore out into space, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. This will also be our long-term solution for steel, as well as a short-term one, because I can go ahead and deconstruct these windows and deconstruct this door to get some steel. But long-term, I really do need to start harvesting the space garbage that comes down, and namely the metal that comes down there, because I'm so strapped for metal. Or at least I was. I'm not as bad right now. I'm sitting about 41 tons. I think in the last video I was at around 7, and that's definitely a huge increase thus far. But yeah, because I'm at such a huge deficit for refined metals, I've decided to stop producing it from this rock crusher, and instead I'm going to set up a metal refinery, probably in this area, or maybe right here so my dupes can actually breathe while they're using it, so that's probably a better idea. I'm going to set up a second aqua tuner just to close the loop on that, because I don't have like a fully cycling water system right now that's all unified. They're all kind of in their own little islands. So I'm just trying to get something set up that's simple for the steel production for the refined metals, and I'll probably just do it like right here or something. It'll produce a little bit of heat, and maybe that's a reason to not necessarily do it right there. I guess I could do it more like over here or something, just be further away. I clearly haven't decided yet. I'm just making stuff up as I go, but yeah. The other thing that we should probably be talking about, I'm surprised I didn't start with this. That is that the aqua tuner has been running, and if we look at the temperature of the water that's in there now, we're down to like 37 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about where I want to be. I want to be lower than 45. So this is way better than what it was before, meaning that I got rid of all the ethanol cooling stuff that was here. That's why there's a big empty space here. For now, the ethanol is just going straight into my petroleum generator, so that's all looking pretty good here. Pretty stabilized, I would say, for the time being, and I'm hoping that this initial batch of cooling was the worst part, and basically waiting until I could get suits, because now that I'm out on the map with my suits, my resources are starting to increase. It's still kind of a chore to go out there and get them, but it's still working, so I'm at least happy about that. One other kind of minor thing, I talked about getting this carbon dioxide geyser, but because the cooling is so effective right now, I'm really not going to bother with this anymore. It's also dormant now anyway, so it'd take forever to turn back on, but since I don't need that extra cooling, I'm probably just going to leave this alone, so I might as well just do this. And then if I want to crack it back open and unearth that, I guess I can, but I don't have any immediate need for it now that we're not scrapping nearly as hard for cooling. This salt water really was a godsend, and I don't know if this is actually a subsurface ocean. It kind of looks like it based upon the traits, so you may not always have access to something like this to kind of be the saving grace on this map. So I guess I got kind of fortunate in that regard. But if I didn't, I think I would probably have started routing some of this water into my bathrooms so that I could dirty it and eventually have enough polluted water to serve as the cooling mechanism before I could get steel. And really, the whole thing's kind of a domino effect. Once I got these suits, that meant I could start getting up into space, and I could get access to like this steel, or maybe I could get access to the iron that was over here that probably would have spawned on another map. I don't think this is like seed dependent or anything like that, so I would have been on steel hopefully sooner rather than later, and probably would have been able to get an aqua tuner set up in a steam turbine before I would have died. But that might be the race. There's also other things I could have potentially done to avoid needing all the cooling, such as, you know, focusing a little bit more on barbecue rather than on mealwood necessarily. But yeah, I have to imagine that the seed would be a little bit different every time you play this map, but I'm also talking like we're out of the woods, and I have no idea what's about to come up next, or I don't know what kind of challenges I'm going to face, but it feels like I'm under a lot less pressure right now, so I hope that that's true going forward. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that's been happening so far. Everything is looking pretty comfortable. My base is kind of a mess. Like, it still does look like a really just on-the-fly improv, kind of do whatever you can in the small amount of space. So it is going to look ugly for a little while. And it may not look pretty this whole game, because this map kind of forces me to get scrunched into this little area for the whole time. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But again, like, I think this is very seed dependent. So maybe someday later, if I'm not, or if I do actually complete this and I don't run into any major problems down the road, I may actually start fishing around for some of the harder seeds just to play it on the hardest setting possible, at least without the use of mods or anything like that. So yeah, we'll probably try some challenges another time, but I should probably stop acting like we've got this thing in the bag. I'm just feeling pretty confident now that we've solved our cooling problem, because that was such a huge deal earlier in the game. But if we die now, then you'll go back and you'll look at this video and you'll be like, wow, that was very silly of you to be so confident. But feeling pretty confident now. I'll have another video coming up shortly after this. I'm trying to think of the next things I really want to solve. Probably getting some steel up. Probably capturing some extra energy sources so I can start setting up for space. I think I'm going to get up to space pretty fast in this one, just so I can start getting as much steel as possible and start building out my setup for rockets and maybe solar power. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided if I need that much yet. I'll probably wind up capturing a volcano here pretty soon, which I can't remember which one of these is a volcano. Let's find out. It's not that. And it's not that. Alright, one of these is a volcano, so I'll probably capture that one as well. And that'll probably be another use of my steel, depending on what kind of volcano it is. But yeah, kind of just chilling, kind of just trying to push forward, and no immediate concerns of death right now. So yeah, check back in the next video. We'll see what's up. Maybe I'll be dead. Maybe I won't. But yeah. See you guys soon.